Hi everyone, my name is Victoria. I'm social media contributor to Core, and welcome to another episode of Meet the Contributors. Today, we're pleased to have Rines, the initial contributor to Core, with us today to answer a couple of questions. So, hi Rich, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and your Web3 background?
Hey Victoria, thanks for having me. Really excited to chat today. It's a little bit about me. I got into the crypto space back in 2013. It was really interesting kind of time. Bitcoin was really just coming into its own. Coinbase had just launched. It was a very unique time. And it was pretty interesting because there was a lot of discussion about all the future promise of Bitcoin, how as an alternative to traditional financial systems, so many different things there, which just caught my attention as, wow, this is such interesting technology. You know, what will be the use cases, all that sort of thing. And I became like a passive investor, started to get involved with like various crypto projects, but more as like an observer than kind of direct involvement. Then Ethereum came around. I think I read the Ethereum white paper in like 2014 or 2015. All of a sudden there was digital oil to go with this digital gold. Everything clicked for me. And I was like, hey, this is what I want to do for, the rest of my career. By 2017, I was in crypto full time. And that cycle was crazy, learned a ton, but it was like a really unique time to be in crypto again, because we kind of flashed forward to more utility than just digital gold. And then I found my way to Coinbase not long after. That was super fun, led money movements over there for 3.5 years, built up a awesome team, got to move a couple $1 trillion, launch a bunch of different projects and features. It was really, really an awesome time. However, by the close to the end of that tenure, I met the folks over at Core. And there was this interesting small team of engineers at that point that were looking for folks to really get involved, help build out the organization, and then with a bunch of the go-to-market plans. I've been building businesses for 15 years. So when I got the opportunity to join the Core team and to be able to help, play a small role in shaping that, that was very exciting to me because that was another 0 to 1 project. My time at Coinbase was a lot more of like the 1 to 2 or 1 to 3. And I really enjoy early stage building and that sort of stuff, and have been really blessed to have an amazing team of global contributors at Core that I get to work with every day.
Okay. And what do you contribute to in Core?
So fittingly, I'm wearing a hat. I wear many hats for many different things. I'm kind of a jack of all trades. And I think that goes for my entrepreneur background for many years prior. There's new challenges and new things to go through every day. And I think that's what keeps me excited to work on various things. And what really gets me excited for, the next 10 plus years is the variety of challenges in Web3 is never ending. And there's new stuff that comes out at essentially the speed of light. You never know what the next crypto meta will be, and it's always evolving. And just staying on top of that is a challenge in amongst itself. But I really do enjoy playing a small role for many different parts of the Core ecosystem and of the team, just trying to help them in the small ways that I can.
How do you approach challenges and problem solving within the dynamic environment of Core DAO?
That's a really great question, and I think that that takes a step back around what the ethos of the Core DAO is, and when it comes to the ethos, it's really this participation. No one's too big or too small to participate, whether as the community member or as a member of the foundation itself, and that is really important because it's a small team, especially by crypto standards. But the goal is to be able to have people with really high ownership that like to contribute every day. The Core project is incredibly ambitious, trying to unlock, the $1 trillion of trapped Bitcoin liquidity, build the next great L1, all those sorts of things. And there's a lot to do. This is, truly a multi-year journey to be able to get this to where it is already. And there's still so much more to do. I tell, various folks, pretty frequently that, the Core journey is 1% of the way over. There's still so much more to be done. And the community is a huge part of that. And there's that, hey, this is a bigger thing than any, one group or anything else to really make this a reality. And that culture is really important to keep going from not only just from now, but far off into the future.
In what ways do you believe Core DAO is pushing the boundaries of innovation in the blockchain space?
So Core has been pushing the boundaries, since before the chain went to mainnet with Satoshi plus consensus, really trying to step outside the normal framework of proof of work versus proof of stake, saying that there actually are positives to both sides. And that was really the genesis of Satoshi plus, was that there's really a 1 + 1 = 3 scenario. If you take these two different mechanisms and you slam them together with the hybrid consensus mechanism that became Satoshi plus. But I think that was really just the beginning of where Core really started to take it. I think getting some of the scalability and composability of the Ethereum side, plus the special tie into Bitcoin with 40+% of the hash rate, delegating to Core, it really opened up the community's horizon to, hey, there's actually a lot more that can be done here. And we've seen the narrative shift more and more throughout crypto Twitter over the last, in crypto media generally. I say crypto Twitter, I mean, media generally, of how important this Bitcoin tie-in is. And now that's actually one of the hottest themes right now, because unlocking Bitcoin is one of the potential biggest utility drivers for the entire space, where Bitcoin is the biggest asset and likely will remain the biggest asset for forever, probably. But as such, being able to push the boundaries means unlocking that additional trapped Bitcoin liquidity. And there's a whole bunch of cool stuff that's coming not far from now with Core's non-custodial Bitcoin staking, with the Bitcoin wrapping and bridging, and then some of the HTLC swapping over, atomic swaps. But that's really just the scratching the surface. There's many, many more pieces to the Bitcoin roadmap, but those are the ones that we've talked about so far.
Okay, and could you describe the collaborative culture at Core and how it contributes to the project's success?
Yeah, so the collaborative culture it's really teamwork first, and it's a high ownership mentality. When some of this comes from my time at Coinbase, and I've tried to share this even on Twitter and some other things. But Coinbase had very strong cultural tenets. There was ownership. There was all these other pieces under the hood. Like there's excellence, there's all these, kind of other pieces. And that's important that the underlying culture of Core reflects a lot of those things, because having a high ownership mentality is how you do your best work. People need to be excited and motivated to go do amazing things, and they need to feel like they have the creative freedom to go do them. I tell, probably most people that have worked with me at any point in time have probably heard how much I personally hate to be micromanaged. And as a result, it's really important to make sure that everybody has the creative freedom. And whenever I talk to people, whether it's on Core, on Element, or many other things, it's always just making sure people have the ability to go create.
What do you think sets Core DAO apart from the other projects in the blockchain ecosystem?
I think there's many things that sets Core apart. I think starting with the Core Toshi community, that is the strength of the project. It has been, since the very beginning. There's a massive community of Core Toshis outside that are, all over the world. And I think that community will hopefully continue to grow and mature. And I think the way that Core came to market with the fair launch and that sort of thing was, very important to that story. Core has tried to be a community-first initiative and project since the very beginning, and will always remain that way. And that is definitely one of the keys to Core's success thus far, and I think it long in the future. I think another big piece of Core is that the underlying fundamentals of the chain are constantly trying to push and improve, even if that means questioning some of these, long-term assumptions. I think when Core came to market in, early 2023, when we're talking about, Bitcoin utility and that sort of thing, it was like, that's crazy. And now it's, kind of like the common theme. So I think it's trying to be a little bit ahead of the curve. And there's many, many things that will come out there that I think will continue to push that forward. But it's really having, a bunch of interesting, challenging ideas, and the culture is trying to do that constantly, where we want to keep reinventing as much as possible to help push the entire space forward. Because at the end of the day, the entire space comes down to usage, and it's really important to be able to drive real usage from real users. So it's important to just keep, always pushing that stuff forward.
How do you stay updated and informed about the latest trends in blockchain, and how does this knowledge influence your work at Core?
I doom scroll Twitter pretty frequently. I don't think that's like an uncommon thing in the space. Twitter's a great source of information. I've spent a decent amount of time on Farcaster recently, which has been like hyper-focused crypto Twitter to a degree. So that's been a really unique source of information. I think I also spend a decent amount of time reading papers and trying to find kind of the latest and greatest. I'm an econ nerd at heart. It's one of the things, I don't know if I've ever shared on any of these interviews or anything, but when I was actually in college, there was like the business computer science part, and then also the econ part. And the econ part was always where I was most interested in. It just there wasn't a lot of like options to tie that into real world applications. And then obviously crypto came along, and it was like, oh, here's all these things slammed together in kind of this perfect hybrid. I was, I guess, ahead of my time in that point of view, but more by accident than anything else.
So looking into the future, what exciting developments can the community expect from Core, and how can they get involved?
Getting involved is the first part to jump into. So I think that the Core Toshi community is so strong, and I think, of course, joining the Discord, staying up to date on all the new recent announcements, all that sort of stuff is a great way to start. I think for folks that want to get more involved, there's all sorts of ways to contribute to the community itself, whether it's joining the mods or helping to wrangle the Discord, add new areas of research and innovation, all sorts of cool stuff there. I think there's also a very strong builder community on Core, and that's starting to really emerge in Discord as well. Please do feel free to start posting interesting ideas for discussion, all that sort of stuff in the Discord or in the Telegram groups, all that sort of thing. There's actually a new dev, I think there's a new dev Twitter as well that was recently announced where you can go follow that and get kind of some of the latest and greatest updates there. But there's a million different ways to give back to Core, whether it's on the engineering side, building like new features, or whether it's, translating content as an ambassador. There's so many different ways, but I just encourage you to get involved, and that there's so many different ways to start contributing. So might as well get started.
Thank you so much for joining this interview. I think the Cortoshis really learned a lot about yet another contributor and the most known contributor to Core. And yeah, thank you so much for joining. And for the Cortoshis, please stay tuned for more episodes. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel and to follow Rich on Twitter.
Thanks for having me.